Walt Pressman had been coming to the Lyric Diner every weekday afternoon for 11 years, and in all that time, he realized later, he had never once learned the boy's name. He noticed the trouble before he understood it. The new manager, younger than Pop, sharper around the edges, the kind of man who walked like he was always one step from correcting somebody. Crossed the diner floor toward the corner, booth by the window. Walt set his coffee down. The boy in the booth was maybe 11, black, his school sweater 2 sizes too big, sleeves pushed back over a spiral notebook and a mug of cocoa gone cold an hour ago. He'd been there since 3:40, same as every weekday. Walt knew that much. He just hadn't thought about it until now. Walt had watched the boy's routine without ever calling it that. School let out at 3. The walk from Lindell Middle took 20 minutes. By 3:40, the boy was in the corner booth with his backpack on the bench beside him, and he stayed there, quiet, steady, working through whatever the teachers had assigned, until somewhere around 11, when a tired woman in scrubs would come through the door, and the boy would close his notebook without being told, and the two of them would walk out together into the dark. Walt had seen it 100 times and thought about it maybe twice. Hey, kid, the manager's name tag, said Russ, Pop's nephew, 3 days into running the floor while Pop recovered from a hip replacement. You order anything besides that cocoa? The boy looked up, polite, unhurried. No, sir, just the cocoa. That was, Russ checked his watch, almost 2 hours ago. We're not a library. I know, I'm sorry. I can order something. The boy reached into a small zippered pouch. Walt could see from across the room it held maybe $3 in coins. It's not about the $3, kid. It's about the table. I've got a line forming at 4:30, and you're sitting on a 4-top doing homework. By yourself. Where's your mom? She's working. She gets off at 11. I come here after school because, look, I'm not trying to be a hard ass, but this isn't a daycare. If there's no adult with you, I can't have you camped out here for. He checked the clock again. Going on 3 hours. Every single day, from what I'm told. That's not how it works. The boy didn't argue. That was the first thing Walt really noticed. The way you notice a held breath. The boy closed his notebook, capped his pen, and slid his books into his backpack with the careful, unhurried calm of someone who had practiced not making a scene. I can wait outside, he said. It's no trouble. Russ hesitated, just slightly, like he hadn't expected that, and hadn't expected to be heard saying any of it. But it had been heard. Carla, the longtime waitress, froze mid-step with a coffee pot in each hand. Desmond, the cook, stopped scraping the grill through the pass-through window. Around the room, forks slowed. It was the kind of moment that, in Walt's experience, usually just passed. People looked down at their plates. The boy gathered his things. The manager felt he'd done his job. And in 5 minutes, everybody went back to their meals and forgot about it by the time they paid the check. Outside, the rain had started. Walt could see it streaking the front window, the kind of cold March rain that didn't let up for hours. Across the street, the lit windows of Ridgeview General glowed against the gray sky. 11 floors up, on 3 South, a nurse named Denise Carter was 3 hours into a 12-hour shift and didn't yet know that her son was about to be asked to wait for her in the rain. You don't have to wait outside, sweetheart, Carla said, already moving. Russ, can I talk to you for a second? Carla, I hear you, but I've got owners on me about table turnover, and his name is Eli, Carla said. He's been coming here every school day since last September. I started his cocoa tab myself. Comes to 40 cents a cup, and I've been covering it out of my own tips, because nobody asked me to, and I wasn't going to make a thing out of it. Walt found himself standing before he'd decided to. He wasn't an excitable man. 31 years delivering mail in this neighborhood had taught him that most disputes settle themselves if you give them room. But something about the boy zipping his backpack with that quiet, practiced calm made the decision for him. He sits with me, sometimes, Walt said. It wasn't quite true yet, but it would be, starting today, and that felt close enough to the same thing. Helps me with the crossword. Knows words I don't. Russ turned, taking in the gray-haired man in the windbreaker, the half-eaten plate of eggs. 11 years of regular customer written into every line of him. Sir, I appreciate that, but I'm not finished. Walt kept his voice level. He'd learned that from the boy, he thought later, though it had only been 30 seconds. You've been here 3 days. I've been coming here since this booth had different vinyl. That boy's mother is a nurse across the street. She works nights, so somebody's got to look out for her son after school, and this diner has been doing it. Quietly, for free, For a year and a half, and nobody told you because nobody thought they had to. That's on us, maybe. It's not on him. From the counter, a woman in green scrubs, her hospital badge still clipped to her collar, turned on her stool.
I work with his mother.
Pediatric ICU, 3 South. Denise Carter is one of the best nurses on that floor, and she has been worried sick about where her son goes after school since the aftercare program lost its funding back in October. If this place has been letting him sit somewhere safe and dry until she's off, that's not loitering. That's the best part of his afternoon. A man near the door, in a contractor's jacket, didn't even look up from his phone. I've seen that kid here every day for months. Never heard him raise his voice, never seen him bother a soul. He does his homework and drinks cocoa. That's the whole crime. Russ's jaw tightened. He looked at Eli. Really looked, Walt thought. Maybe for the first time. And something shifted in his face. The particular discomfort of a man realizing the room had quietly built a case against him while he was just making his rounds. Nobody told me any of this, Russ said. I'm trying to run the floor the way the company wants it run. Tables, turnover. This isn't a franchise, Desmond said from the pass-through, wiping his hands on his apron. He nodded toward a faded photograph behind the register, in a thin black frame, a much younger man, dark-haired, standing in front of this same window under a hand-painted open sign. Pop opened this place 41 years ago because his own mother used to send him somewhere warm after school while she worked doubles at the laundry on Ash Street. He's told that story 1,000 times. You'd know it if you'd asked him before you started enforcing turnover policy on an 11-year-old. Carla was already dialing. I'm calling him, she said, to no one and everyone. He should hear this from me before he hears it secondhand. The diner went quiet, in the way a room goes quiet when it's listening to one side of a phone call. Carla turned slightly toward the window, lowering her voice out of habit, though everyone could still hear well enough. Pop, it's Carla. Nothing's wrong with the diner. It's about Eli, the boy in the corner booth, the one I told you about back in October, with the cocoa. Right, him. Russ asked him to leave because he wasn't ordering enough and, I think Russ just didn't know about him. Nobody told him. A pause. No, he's fine. He's right here. He's just packing up his... Eli, honey, hold on a second. She held the phone out toward Eli, who had gone very still, backpack half on one shoulder, with the look of a boy who had learned, very young, to make himself small in rooms where adults argued about him. Pop wants to say hi, Carla said gently. Eli took the phone. Hi, Mr. Doyle. A pause, listening. Yes, sir. No, it's okay. I didn't mind waiting outside. It's not. Another pause, longer this time, and something in the boy's shoulders came down half an inch. Okay. Thank you. Yes, sir, I will. Bye. He handed the phone back to Carla, who listened for a moment more, nodding, before hanging up. He wants to talk to you, Carla told Russ, holding the phone out. Russ stepped to the side to take the call. Walt couldn't hear Pop's half of it, but he watched it land on Russ's face. The stiffening, then the slow loosening. The way a man's posture changes when he realizes he's about to spend the next several minutes apologizing. And there's no way around it, and decides to do it right. Yes, sir. Understood. No, I'll take care of it right now. Yes, sir. I'll make sure of it. He handed the phone back to Carla and turned to Eli, and for a moment he just stood there, like a man recalculating an entire afternoon. I'm sorry, Russ said, and it came out plainer than Walt expected. No excuses folded into it, no but. I didn't know any of that. I should have asked before I'm sorry. You don't have to leave. You can stay as long as you need to, every day. And he glanced toward the photograph behind the register. The cocoa's on the house from now on. That's not even a question. Eli set his backpack down slowly, like he wasn't sure yet whether it was safe to. It's okay, he said. I know you're new. It was such a small, generous thing to say. 11 years old, and already fluent in letting an adult off the hook, that Walt felt something catch in his chest. It's not okay, actually, Russ said. But thank you for saying that. By the time Denise Carter crossed the street from Ridgeview that night, Carla had texted her the short version, so she wouldn't hear it from someone else first. The corner booth had a sheet of paper taped to the window above. It hand-lettered in Carla's loopy cursive, reserved for Eli, 3:30 to 11, every school day. Denise read the sign twice before she came inside. She still had her hospital badge clipped to her scrubs, and there was a tiredness in her that went deeper than one shift. Eli was at the counter with Russ, learning how the register drawer worked, and when he saw his mother, he didn't run to her. He just smiled, the easy smile of a kid whose day had turned out fine after all, and said, Mom, this is Russ. He's new. I heard, Denise said, and looked at Russ for a long moment, not unkindly, just measuring. Thank you for calling Pop. And for listening, after. I should have listened first, Russ said. I'm working on it. Denise nodded, like that was the right answer, and slid into the booth across from her son. And Carla brought her the coffee she always had waiting by 11, without anyone asking anymore. By the end of the week, Pop had the paper sign laminated, and screwed a small brass plate to the wall above the booth, the kind usually reserved for memorial donors at a library or a church. Except this one had no name on it, just 3 words, "You belong here." Pop came in himself the next afternoon, walking slow on his new hip, and pulled a chair up to Eli's booth instead of going behind the register. He didn't make a speech. He asked Eli what he was working on, long division, the kind with remainders, and sat there for 20 minutes while Eli explained it to him, getting 2 of the 4 problems wrong, in a way that made Eli laugh out loud, which was something nobody in the diner had heard before. Walt kept coming in afternoons after that, same as always, except now he sat across from Eli more often than not, and the crossword got finished a little faster with 2 sets of eyes on it. He never did learn all the words Eli knew, but he learned the boy's name on a rainy Tuesday in March, and after that, he never had to ask it again. The new policy went up behind the register a week later, 3 lines, typed and framed. Every neighbor is welcome here, for as long as they need, whether they're buying something or not. Some of the best customers we've ever had started out as kids doing homework in the corner booth. Est. 1985. Russ kept the job. Pop made sure of that. Told him, in front of the whole counter, that a man who could admit he was wrong that fast, in front of that many people, was exactly the kind of manager the Lyric Diner needed. A few weeks later, Russ asked Eli if he wanted to learn how to work the register on slow afternoons, just to pass the time. Eli said yes, and got good at it fast, and within a year Carla had him cashing out regulars on his own. But what Walt remembered most, when he told the story afterward, and he told it often, because it was worth telling, wasn't the apology, or the brass plate, or even the cocoa. It was the rain on the window that afternoon, and a boy's careful, unhurried hands zipping a backpack closed, ready to go stand outside in the cold rather than make anyone uncomfortable, and a room slowly, one voice at a time, deciding that wasn't going to happen, not to him, not anymore.